Hello, Lalita.
Hello.
So this is the episode of Confidence in Relationship, and Lalita is our guest today. And basically, yeah, like usual, we have 5 questions. My first question is going to be: how is creating the digital content help you find your voice and build your relationship and confidence?
Mm. Well, first of all, Paul, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be part of this. And I feel like there's so many things that you guys discuss that's really important for people to hear and educate. So it's really nice to be part of it. And back to your question. Honestly, I feel like confidence is everything in your life because that's what moves you forward. So in my social media journey, I started about like a year and a half ago when I took it seriously and started believing in myself. But I feel like people have misconception about confidence. I feel like people think that, oh, I'm confident only because, I wear something and then you feel confident, or you have a nice car, you feel confident, you have a nice career, you feel confident. I feel that people don't realize that the true confidence comes from self worth. So self worth is something like a background, like you build a house. Self worth is a background,
Hmm.
the ground that you build, and then the confidence is the ground that you build on. So in my eyes, I felt the journey that I've been through, the true confidence that helped me to get where I am right now is to understand my true worth without all of the external layers. So I'll give you an example. If you would go and you have a nice career, you have a nice car and everything else, you have great skills, what happens if that car gets crashed, you cannot afford a new car, or the career, it's gone? What's
Hmm.
next? How do you feel? Who are you without that car? Who are you without that career? So for me, that took a bit of strength and self-development and self-work to
That
actually understand that.
that actually reminds me of the line from Spider-Man: "If you're nothing without the suits, you shouldn't have it."
Ah, I love that.
Yeah, confidence should be about yourself, not about your objects.
mm, I I totally agree. I feel like self-worth is something that you know that you deserve without all of the external. Just because you are as you are, you're already worthy. You are worthy as you are.
Yes, and it's quite interesting because there's a lot of these examples given in real life when a girl has heard something spilled on her dress, and then she just starts crying and goes completely, how to say it, just runs away or something.
Mm,
But then there's the second girl who had, let's say, some borscht spilled
yeah.
on her white dress, and she just ignores it and just walks around. Other girls start to get jealous of her. I actually
Mm,
seen something similar in real life.
exactly. I feel like no matter how you look, what you wear, it's all about your energy.
Do you think there should be a limit though? Because I've seen a lot of people who confuse confidence and arrogance.
Yeah, there are a lot of people. Confidence, true confidence, it's not about thinking that you're better than anyone else. The only competition is yourself. Is you compete with yourself, who you were yesterday. Are you better than yesterday? Because when you start competing yourself with other people, when you start competing yourself with other people, that's a very dangerous game. Because I
Mhm.
feel like everyone has their own journey. It's so easy for us to look at this successful person. They already have everything. They've got that audience. They have so many followers. And you don't know what they've been through to get there. I
Yes.
bet they've had a very long journey. So many sleepless nights, and it took them a lot of things to even get to where they are at. So for you to compare yourself with the other person, it doesn't make any sense,
Yes,
you
we all
know?
know that other people, they always want to have what you got. They don't want to have they don't want to know how you got it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, no one is interested. They're just interested. It's like, you're starting a journey. Everyone's thinking, like, oh, that's cringe, especially when you start making content or you start doing something.
So how do you think all this stuff that we just talked about influences is influenced by your digital content. For example, if you go into the commercial or anything, does that change anything about you? Does that change anything about your confidence, about your personality?
For sure. I feel like going into anything, especially social media world, it's so easy to compare yourself with others and that unrealistic expectation of your life. Everyone's putting the best picture and everyone's talking about it, but you don't actually let it sink in and understand that there's a lot of things that going on behind the scenes. And if you want to achieve something, the only competition is yourself and your thoughts and your mind, because the way you perceive what others are saying about you, the way you perceive that competition, I can look at you and saying, wow, you have such an amazing podcast. I'm getting inspired by it. I'm not comparing
Thank you.
myself. Yeah. And I can also look at it, I was like, oh my God, you have such a great podcast. I don't think I would ever do that. Or, I can start downgrading your work and saying, oh, it's nothing, because it makes me feel better.
Yeah,
So,
that's usually where trolls come from.
Exactly. Well, it's always a mirror. Let me tell you that. Doing the inner work and everything else. When someone tells you something, critiques you, it's their reflection. It's a mirror. They projecting their own insecurities onto you, and it's a matter of you if you want to take it or not.
So let's see what we have for number 2. If you're looking for a relationship, what would your ideal man be look like? What qualities are the most important to you in an ideal man, or in today's podcast topic, I guess, gentleman?
Gentlemen. Ooh, I love gentlemen. So good manners. What can be better? Honestly, the first phrase that comes to my mind, that Rihanna, I'm not looking for a man. For real. I go with basics. I feel like everything can be built on basics, like confidence with self-worth, relationships, it's loyalty, trust, with the man who's a true provider. So provider mindset, it's not just about financial, it's like creating that container. So it's safety, it comes with, taking care of you, of kids or family. I feel like a good sense of humor for sure. Want to joke around sometimes too. And loyalty, loyalty is a big thing. Trust, you can't build anything without trust. But I feel like these days women, they have like this whole list of all of the points that they want in a man. And then the question, what do you bring to the table?
Oh, yes.
It's always triggering topic, It's but I feel like if you want all of this from the men, you have to take yourself out of that picture and put yourself in his shoes, in your ideal man. What kind of woman is he looking for? If you want a fit man that's doing well, successful, are you doing the same? Are you taking care of your body? Are you taking care of your mental health? Are you working on your dreams? Do you have your own life? It's not just about what you want out of the man, but it's good to have those qualities. There's nobody perfect. You just have to know those main things that you're looking for. And, there's some things that you won't like, but you have to see if you can live with that, Because I think the biggest mistake that people make is they look at it and it's like, okay, he's going to change. It's like, this is good, but this is we're going to change. This is, he can stop doing that. It's
what I heard from both sides is that women marry a guy having a dream that he will change, while guys have a dream that she will never change.
That she will never leave or she will never change. Yeah.
Well, I don't know about the leave part. That kind of goes back together. But again, men and women expect or desire different things, sometimes even the opposite things.
I agree. I feel like it's your own responsibility with your own expectations. That's how we actually get hurt. Not by the person, it's by the image that we create in our minds. Especially on the beginning of the relationship with all the hormones playing around.
Oh, yes.
We just literally, with pink glasses, we just look at the relationships and we think this is the person, he does this. And you just don't see that blind spot and those things that you don't pay attention and you think, oh, that's fine, like we'll deal with that later. It's not about that. It's literally just looking at the person as he is. And one thing that I've learned about men, if he says something, he means it. Don't overthink it. If he tells you he's not ready for serious relationships or he's not ready for kids, don't think it's okay. Once he falls in love with me, like it's gonna change. It's like, girl, no.
Oh, this is the really tricky part between men and women. They have actually an example from Family Guy. Men, we don't know what we did. And this is insanely common. I think it's the most common problem in all of the relationship, whether it's old or new, whether their couple is married or whatever, is that girls speak indirectly and guys speak directly. And when both sides don't know that, which is 90% of the case, it just creates into chaos. When a guy says something that he is planning to do, the girls find the unexisting hidden messages in there. While when a girl tells the guy that she is, do you want to go to the washroom or are you hungry?
Yeah.
I really love that necklace. It's very important. My grandmother had another one just like that. It's like he has no idea that you wanted to.
Can I translate for the audience?
Go ahead.
What
That would be
means?
amazing.
Can you buy me that? It's literally that. That's what it means. It's like, oh, I've seen this nice necklace. I really love it. I just love jewelry. It's like we just think that men can read our minds, but the book that I would really recommend is Women from Mars, Men from Venus, or vice versa.
I actually haven't read that yet. Do you think?
I highly recommend it. I feel like that book is, maybe you can link it below later on. It's really great book on psychology of men and women. And the author has done a lot of trials and like he's a psychologist as well. And he's been through a lot of couples and he wrote a book, literally like a manual to what woman says, what she means, what man says, what he means. And it's literally what you just said. Even the way you use could and would. It's like, could you please throw away the garbage? The man would take it differently than, would you please do that? Because could, it's like, you have to, like, can you do that? Like, would, it's you have an option.
Yeah, another famous part. Is that your sock?
I don't know. It's literally that. But you're right. I agree. Man and woman, they very different creatures. And that's the biggest mistake. It's like love language. The biggest mistake in couples, in relationship, is that we trying to love with our own love language. So if my love language is touch or my love language is verbal or presence, I'm going to give you that. But your love language is different from mine. Yeah. So that's what we have to be considerate and understand that, sometimes men, different psychology,
Of course. Oh, and by the way, about is that your sock? That translates as pick up the sock right now.
There you go. I just love translations today, It's like, just so you guys know, it's out there for you.
Okay. How do fashion and appearance influence the building of a relationship? Especially in the first impressions. That's a really big one. And I think guys need to know more about this than girls do because girls usually follow the dress code when it comes to dating. But I would like to hear from your side.
Honestly, I'm not going to lie and say, oh, looks don't matter. Men just come to you and they look right into your soul and they want to marry you right away and they want to kids with you. They're already booking the altar and everything. It's a lie. First impression is very important. It's like, when someone is fit, automatically we put an assumption towards that person is that they're hardworking, they dedicated, they disciplined, right? So same with your looks. At first with men, especially when you just meet or you go on the first date, it's testosterone. The first thing that comes, right? It's testosterone, physical attraction, chemistry. That's how it starts. If you truly want to dig deeper into biochemical things, it's actually men and women, they have different hormones. So for women it's oxytocin, For us, it's like, the for the child and the mother, that bond that it creates. So for us, it's so much easier to create that, especially with the physical interaction or anything of that nature. It's for us so much easier to have that, and we become closer. So when women say that, they can sleep with multiple men, or, and they just friends with benefits, it doesn't work like that for women, because automatically the oxytocin is released and you become attached to that person, and then it's harder for you. For men, it's a bit different.
Much different.
Yes, it's much different. For men, it's definitely the main thing. For men, it takes them time to actually get attached to you,
Yep.
and to actually get to that feelings. And for overall, just looking at the history, if you want to have a man with the long-term relationships, you should definitely, just give a bit of time before you do any physical attraction, because testosterone is like going from this level all the way down.
Yeah. When it comes to testosterone, men have it 10 times more than women.
Yeah, exactly. And there's also a hormone in men. I think I have to look it up. Vaso something. I have to look it up. I got a whole book here. I had to look it up because
Dopamine by any chance?
No.
Would it be?
Vasopressin. There you go.
Vasopressin?
Yes. So vasopressin is a hormone in men. It's basically the way it happens. So at first, when you meet, the first couple of dates, it's the physical attraction, testosterone. But for men, in order for them to fall in love with you, it takes a bit of time to actually release that hormone, vasopressin. And that only comes when the man actually shows you a commitment, when he invests in you, his time, his money, everything of that nature. And it's not like, oh, let me, just not do that, just sit while his vasopressin is going up. It's not about that. It's literally about getting to know each other, getting attached to each other in a way. So then when you actually have that physical attraction, he already fallen in love with you, or he already had those feelings. So it actually, you can consider as a long-term relationships. And I feel like it's not just about what man wants, it's about your values as well. It's your body, it's your energy, especially for women. It's really important to make sure that energetically you exchange traumas as well. It's a lot of things that come with it. So I feel like you just have to be more careful and understand that the culture that it is now, you just have to see what's good for you. And I'm never judging anyone, honestly. You do you, whatever works for you. I'm all about it. But I feel like you just have to understand and be considerate of your body, and be just respect yourself, and then everything will mirror out.
I just have to mention how powerful first impressions are, actually, because a lot of people don't know about what's called a halo effect. That what you see first is gonna stay there pretty much forever. And the simplest example for that, even if I describe, let's say, a guy named John, and let's say he's intelligent, funny, and a bit selfish. But then if I say something like, John is a bit selfish, funny, and intelligent, automatically people get a different idea about that person, even though I mentioned the three same words. That's called the halo effect. That if you show something negative first, it's called a horn effect. They added a new name for it. That if you start with a halo effect and show the best features of yourself at first, they're gonna shield you from other mistakes that you make. But if you show the negative side of yourself first, other person would be waiting for the compensation to fight off against the negative part that you have shown. So that's why the first impression is so good when it comes to dates, as we mentioned at first.
That's I feel also really important to mention just quickly. First impressions, I do believe that they can last. However, us human beings, we are so quick to assume and judge.
Yeah,
There is a reason why there are so many videos that go viral when very rich people, wear something like, they look like poor, the way they get treated. And then once they put on the full outfit, the way they get treated as well. No wonder some restaurants, you can't even walk in if you don't look presentable. It's important, but it's also important to say that, we assume based on our own experience. And sometimes we can assume that that person is, a bit different than they actually are, in a good way or a bad way. So sometimes it takes a bit of time to actually get to know someone
of
too.
course. So, number 4 is, how do you learn to distinguish between constructive criticism and toxic advice in a relationship? Because I see that all the time. A lot of people take advice about dating from single guys or single girls, and they take marriage advice from a person who's just been divorced. You can take people like Steve Harvey, for example. The dude had the entire show about dating
Yeah.
and how to get married nicely. And the guy's right now divorced. So why are we taking advices from people like that? And why are we not taking advices from people who have been in a committed relationship for quite some time? For example, myself, I've been in a relationship for over 4 years, a committed relationship. And again, there's a lot of others. I can't really think of any celebrities that have that. Oh, Ryan Reynolds would be a good example.
Oh, they have really good relationships. Yeah.
But he's not exactly a advisor when it comes to relationships. So
yeah, they're a bit more on the private side. Overall, I just
how do we distinguish between them?
yeah. So I just go by the rules in my life. Is I never take an advice from someone that I wouldn't exchange my lives with, or I wouldn't want what they have. Meaning, if I'm opening my own business, but you don't have that business in that specific niche, I'm not going to ask for your advice, because you have no idea about it. So that's what we usually make a mistake. We go to our loved ones and or people that we know to ask for advice because we don't know what to do. But then, they know as much as we do, and they just project. The main difference between constructive criticism and toxic: constructive is something that you want to do to benefit someone else. So you say something good that they've done, you say something bad that they've done, but overall you say it in order to better them. So for the toxic, the way you say it, it's always bad. No matter what they do, it's always bad. And for the constructive criticism, what people don't realize is it all depends on the tone of voice that you are using. Tone of voice, who does it come from? Does it come from your loved one? Or does it come from some random stranger, like those haters online? Is that constructive criticism? Because sometimes, someone can say something, you might not like it, but looking from a different perspective, you can use it for your own growth. But if someone says something, it's not really valid, and with the way they delivering, they might be right. But if I'm going to be very persistent, if I'm going to say that you're wrong, nobody likes to hear that you're wrong, So for people, it's hard to take that. So if you make it, I usually say it's like a sandwich. So at first you say something good. I think you did a great job here. I really loved the way you did the presentation here. If that's personally my opinion, the way I see it, I would change a bit here on the slides so people would actually see a bit more and add a bit of detail. But overall, I think you did amazing, and we'll make it great after those couple of changes. So the way you say it, good, criticism, bad, or like criticism, bad, or whatever the mix, and then you say good again. So in general, it's up to the person what they want to do with it. That's constructive.
It often goes into one of those how people prefer pleasant lies over painful truth.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you can try to at least make pleasant truth if you express it more softly. What I heard from one of the brilliant bloggers, Charisma on Command, I don't remember, he never really said what his name is, but he is very charismatic. He knows a lot about these things. And he said that if you're trying to say something negative to a person, first tell the person the negative part softly, that let's say, your meal had a bit, let's say, a bit too much salt, but the rest of it was so good that I have never tasted anything like it before. Because the people usually remember the ending. The beginning, the end, they remember very few in the middle. And if the ending is basically better than the beginning, it shows that the message is easier to take in.
It's also another thing if you say I love you, but people don't. It's like it's so cruel. It's like, why would you do that?
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, it's a play of words and just being considerate to others' feelings, because just for people to understand the toxicity that can be even with your loved ones. People can be toxic in the way of, they can tell you that you don't do something right, but if they constantly tell you you look too skinny, you gain a lot of weight, why would you wear that, why do, like, you're not doing things right, and it starts like on and on and on, then you start questioning yourself, because we know that you are who you're surrounded with. So take an average 5 people around you, that's who you are as well. So there's a lot of people that can hurt you, but it's up to you. You allow them to do that to you.
Yeah, exactly.
So
That a very famous quote that tell me your main friends, I'll tell you your future.
exactly, that's exactly it. And I feel like no matter how many people, there are always going to be toxic people in your life. It's up to you if you allow them in your life or not. Why are you allowing that toxicity in your life? You just have to look, because everything is a mirror. You have to look inside of yourself and realize, where am I toxic to myself? How am I talking to myself? Because if you talk to yourself like you're a queen, if you talk to yourself, that's where the confidence comes from as well. If you treat yourself like a queen, you wouldn't allow anyone else to treat you less than that. So when someone treats you badly, it's not their fault. I mean, it's of course not nice, but why would you allow them to be in your life? You know?
So the Queen quote that actually came from Game of Thrones, I think. I remember some girls tried to copy Queen Cersei, who was literally the queen of the Seven Kingdoms. They tried to copy her quote where she says, it's going to be really rude from my side as a gentleman, but I have to share this. She says that if you want a queen, if you want a whore, buy one. If you want a queen, you must earn her. She tells one of her warriors who tries to win her heart. And some girls try to copy her quote. And after they said, well, again, the same thing, you want a whore, buy one. You want a queen, they express themselves, then you must earn me. And a lot of guys simply cut that off by saying, okay, so how much do you charge? That's such a burn. I don't think I would ever go that far. It's like I try to be a gentleman and be polite.
I feel like, true confidence is silent. It's never about proving your value to anyone. I'm very spiritual as well, and I feel energy speaks to itself. Like, you can literally sit beside someone else, you feel their energy without even them talking. So for you to see the confident, or for you to see if it's a queen, or excuse me, if it's a whore, it's all about how they act and how they do things.
Very, very good example.
Yes.
And I feel so bad for actually sharing.
Well, you know what? Sometimes things have to be said, and there's nothing wrong about it.
Exactly.
It's just everyone has their own life. And as I said, we never judge. Everyone has their own way of thinking, but things just gotta be said.
Well said. Okay, so the last question. Do women really seek out millionaires? And what do they actually expect from such a relationships? It's a big one.
Oh, it's a big one. With the gold diggers and sugar daddies. A really good question. I feel like in this day and age, there's definitely different women, and being a high value woman, you definitely, as I mentioned before, you know what you bring to the table, and it's not about just paying doing the 50-50, or you want a provider man. I feel like women, they looking more for a social status rather than the actual money. if there's women that, they don't need love. Everyone has their own traumas. So the way it works, for example, if you would see women who, in certain careers that a bit questionable, let's say that, they got used to having, like you do something, you get paid. And then when they go and they go into relationships, they just got used to taking. So you have to understand that dating a millionaire or dating a successful man comes with a lot of things as well. I feel like women don't understand it fully sometimes. It comes with, you have to be very flexible, first of all, because he can travel around. You have to be everywhere with him. Then you have to be very independent, because if he's a successful man, he's a millionaire, he won't have time to babysit you. He won't have time to give you all of his attention. So it's up to you. If your love language is presence and that's all that you need to feel loved and you don't need to see him that very often, good for you, girl. Do it. But, I feel like for men and women tend to date same level or up. Men tend to date same level or down.
Yeah, it's called hypergamy from a female side.
Yeah, so if you would look at that and the statistics and overall with the history, even the movies, the Cinderella, she's waiting for her prince to save her from this miserable life, right? And they live happily ever after. It's really nice to have that partner that can, provide, take care of you. But it's also important to know that you got to do something for it. You cannot just sit and wait for the prince to come and save you from your miserable life, because that kind of man, he already has a lot of stress in his life. So what he's looking for someone who can bring him peace, who can bring him something that he would, truly see a partner and partnership in, and potentially if having kids, they would see that woman as well. I feel like with women, it's a dangerous game, to be honest, because a man can have a lot of money, but what he does with that money, it's a different thing as well. Did he earn it himself, or he won a lottery and that money will be gone in a year? How does he act with that money, and does he spend on you?
Oh, that's a big one.
That's a big one.
Well, what you mentioned earlier, how about men seek same level or lower and girls looking up? It's going all the way back to the Stone Ages or to any living creature whatsoever. The female seeks for a protector and the male seeks for someone who can provide him with a child. And this is exactly why men and women like different things. Girls like confident, strong men because they seek someone who can protect them, and confidence and strength is what can display that on the surface. While guys basically look at the physical characteristics that give the sign that a woman can carry a child.
Yeah, well, that's a feminine, masculine energy.
Exactly.
Right? So I feel like it's a big disbalance these days with the masculine and feminine. I'm all about being that confident. You can live on your own. You have this amazing life, and your partner is addition to it, right? But I feel like these days, women, they can take on a lot of things on themselves, put themselves in that masculine energy, overpower men, and then they look for even stronger men. So you can have one man and two women. One can bring more masculine in him, the other one can bring more feminine in him, meaning that women can be more responsible for things like paying the bills. She can be more responsible for booking things. Or there's a female that in true feminine energy, and she can be in her relaxed state. She's not in a rush. She loves him to help her. If he offers, she's like, thank you, I really appreciate it. She doesn't deny it, or I'll do it on my own, So it all depends on that feminine and masculine energy, and just realizing that it's important to have that balance in the relationships too, because it's really dangerous if you don't play it well.
It's all about the communication, about the communication that's basically collided together, that when girls try to behave with masculine energy, it really doesn't come out well. And then when guys try to behave with the feminine energy, that generates chaos just as much, because it's the guys who ask the girl where she wants to go when they don't have a plan, when they don't follow any kind of male dress code and stuff like that. It has a lot of negative energy. And same goes if you wish to understand how guys feel about women with masculine energy. Just think about how you feel about men with feminine energy.
But that's the thing. If you're attracting feminine energy and like feminine males, right? Feminine men, then you have to fix yourself and think, what am I doing that I'm attracting this kind of energy towards me? That means
That's
that
a good
you're
one.
projecting a lot of masculinity. That's why those kind of men attract to you. So you don't have to look outside, because outside is just projection of your inner world. That's it. So if you see something around you, you don't change it in the physical world. You change it within you. You go inside and you see, okay, what beliefs do I have? What limiting belief do I have that makes me attract those kind of people in my life? And as you mentioned, communication is a key. That's for sure, because you can have the best man in the world, but if you cannot communicate your feelings, your needs, he cannot just all of a sudden read your mind. So I feel like overall with energies and communications and everything else in the relationship, feminine, masculine, because you have masculine and feminine. I have masculine and feminine. It doesn't depend on the gender. We all have it, yin and yang, right?
Yeah.
But it's all about the balance. A true woman or a true man is the one that can find a true balance between the masculine and the feminine energy. So in order to do that, naturally, men have more masculine and women have more feminine. So if you're in that state that you've been hurt before and I better do it on my own rather than trusting someone else, then it's projecting somewhere else. So if you're in a relationship right now and you feel like he's not doing enough, you wish that he would take on more responsibilities, just lean back, put yourself into that feminine energy and see that he's going to step up. Sometimes women, they just don't even allow men to show themselves, in their relationships. And I think that's what's important. And for men, it's also important to be weak sometimes, because I feel like there's so much pressure for men to always be that strong and no feelings and no crying, nothing. I feel like there's strength in that too, to see your weaknesses. Yeah.
There's something I noticed about girls who act with extremely, in a way, overconfident behavior and for some reason very decisive behavior. When they basically behave like one of those bad boys, I was wondering why exactly do they do that? And my personal guess is that what they're doing is exactly what they want to see within the man they're looking for. Do you think that's true?
I feel like everyone is acting from their own traumas. So whenever we act on something, it goes back to our childhood. Healing our inner child, it's really important, because people don't even realize the traumas that we carry. So whenever women take more of that responsibility than they should, and they projecting that, I can do it on my own, because a lot of women, what they say, I know I can do it better than him. He might not do it perfectly the first time, but he's learning. So you have to let him do that. You have to ask yourself then, why am I not letting him do it? Do I not trust him? Did something happen to me before? Why? Like, once you start become self-aware of your thoughts, of your emotions, of your feelings, you start questioning yourself, because we operate 95% on our subconscious mind, right? And only 5% on what we actually can control and do. So you cannot expect different behavior from a man if you behave the same way. That's why I never suggest to jump from one relationship to another. You have to heal first and see what brought you to end that relationship. You have to fix yourself in a way that nothing is wrong with you. It just, you've been through so much that you have to understand there's certain things that you do in your life that you have to dig a bit deeper and understand why is it happening to you. Because guess what, the universe, it's always sending you the same people, and every time it's going to hurt more and more and more until you learn the lesson. And that's how it usually works. So it's all within yourself.
Well said. So I think we're done by by now.
Yeah.
And at this part, it was very nice talking to you. It's you know a lot about the differences between masculine and feminine energy. It was very nice to learn about many things, and I'll definitely look into the men from Mars and women are from Venus.
Yeah, I always mix them up, but like the contents is the same. Yeah.
I heard about that book a lot. Well,
Yeah. Thank you so much. I really appreciate